I'm at my wit's end here, guys. I'm just trying to upload a video for the 100th video. This is my 100th video on YouTube. And this is I was trying to upload a 100th video special where I review my 100 plus comic pages because we hit that milestone around the same time. Sort of. Anyway, I explained in the video. But it. I had the video ready to go, all rendered. It's a 50-minute video. It took me 15 minutes to export the video. But when trying to upload it to YouTube, it took 6 hours to get to 20% uploaded. And it is still doing that. I don't know what the issue is. It might just be because it's a 50-minute video. So we're going to do this. I'm going to mute. I'm just going to play the video for you guys here, and we're just going to call it at that. All right? I'll try to respond in chat if anyone shows up, but still, it took me all day to make this video, so I just want to have it shown, and I really don't want to mess with it anymore. Okay, let's do this. Hey, yo, what is this? The 100th video on my channel? What? You know what else we also surpassed? 100 comic pages? What? Well, technically it's 107 by the time of recording this video, but anyway, I guess I should do something about that. Might as well as combine the two. So, for a 100th video special, here's 100 comic pages. 100 plus-ish. Anyway. And what better place to start than the first page? And right off the bat... Oh! Oh no. See, yeah, this is back when I was using 3 layers of rendering. Because I would have 2 multiply layers in, like, I would erase a bit of the shadow and then put little extra lighting on the rims. And oh my god, it looks so muddy. And for some reason, at the time, I was going for like more of a sketchy line art look. I don't know why I decided on that. I thought it was like to save time, but then like the whole time I was sketching, I was, taking so much time to clean up the sketch. Time I could have just been doing line art. That and the borders. I really didn't want to do just black box borders. I wanted the borders to look like they were also part of the scenery, so like all flowed together. I don't know if I actually succeeded and whatnot, but this is a pattern that goes on for, I think, like the first 10 or so pages. Yeah. Now, I think the Living Borders style is what I've just been calling it. Works for like a montage or like time skips because it's supposed to just do. And like just go back and forth. Now, page 3, you can tell there's a big difference between page 2 and page 3. I think this was because I did the first 2 pages in the same day. And then, like, the next day, because at first I was doing a page a day, and it was really killing me. I decided, you know what, it takes too long with the coloring, because then I would have, because with unclean line art, I would have to manually go in and, like, use, like, the pen tool to outline all the characters, instead of with clean line art, like here, I would just use the pen and the bucket tool like I do now. Still keeping with the Living Borders theme. And this one I'm actually still kind of proud of with the rain. I would do it slightly differently now, but, you know, at the time, you know, for like the first time doing rain, I was really proud of it. And then page 4, the first dialogue, back when I used text. And did little outlines for the speech bubbles. I'm not sure why I stopped, and I'm still wondering if I should maybe bring that back. And when it came, and also with the living borders, I was trying to like emulate emotion with the borders by themselves, because like the border, you can't quite see it because it blends in with the background, but it's supposed to like ease into like this frame here to feel like it's all weighing down on him because he's feeling like the world's closing in. But it was really hard to render it in such a way to where it wasn't distracting, but at the same time it didn't just disappear. So I was trying to walk that line. And then flashbang with the white borders because lightning. This one, I'm actually still pretty proud of this page because, you know, lightning is striking and it shows all these different characters reacting at the same time. And again, also really proud of the way the water and rain looks here, especially since I think I'm using the pencil tool. Yeah, I am. I'm using the pencil tool on Medibane for the rain. I don't know why. Then also, for some reason, I was also coloring in the speech bubbles. Like, instead of just having some were solid and some were like, you know, had like little gradients in it. I don't know why I did that or what the decision was. And these first few pages, you know, everything is so dark. Like, I'm leaning up in my chair and I'm still having trouble seeing it. It's kind of pixelated. I mean, look at that. And then here is when I stopped coloring in the borders, but I still drew them the same way, which I'm still fine with it. And I've kind of stopped for just to have more room, but I might bring it back. I don't know. Now, this having the lines around the speech bubbles, I might bring that back a little bit, but I was still using the text, so, and I didn't want black or white bubbles because then that would really kind of, I don't know, it was distracting for me. I know with comics you have the white speech bubbles with the text, or you have black text with a slightly colored speech bubble so you know who's talking. But, you know, that always was weird to me in comics, because I was like, wait a minute, who's talking? Where's the tail pointing? Oh, it's all the way down there. Why is it all the way down there? Why can't you just color code everything? That was my big deal when, in the early days of working on this comic. I wanted to color code everything. And I did and still do. I like this page in the way that there's two paths pointing out from the cave, and one of them has a brighter stars in the clouds. Yeah, hilarious. Was it? Okay, this is page 11. This is when I stopped doing the bushes border for the time being and then just started doing lines. Kind of like how I still do comics today. But if I were to redo this page, I might format it slightly differently, and I would have like these bits colored in, maybe have some more action lines. I'm not sure. Oh god, the first full illustrated page with some text. Good lord, this is one of the pages where I just cringe because I didn't have the layout of the land fully drawn out. I had just hadn't done that yet, or I did. I just didn't know how to draw it from a different angle. For some reason, this took me all day to do, like an obscene amount of time. Now, a page like this would maybe take me 30 minutes, 40 tops, but you can tell exactly what brush I used for these trees and bushes, and it's the same brush. Ugh. Still using pencil tool for the background. And I have it on lower opacity. And just noticed that. You know, I made the comics and I've myself have forgotten the way I did it. Now this, I'm not sure if I want to bring back, where instead of having the rim lighting, I colored the line art to show like absolute highlights. I'm not sure if I want to bring that back or if I, you know, can experiment with it, but you know, as we'll later see in the more modern pages, I am pretty happy with how I have rendered that. But oh my, this is one of the pages where I'm just, I kind of want to redo, but I don't want to waste time redoing old pages when this is supposed to be like a chronicle, not a chronicle. Anyway, it's supposed to, like, to show how I've learned about comics, you know, with comics. It was really hard in these early pages starting out because I had 8 characters all hanging out together, all making decisions, and had to draw 8 different characters per page, so that kind of forced me to learn composition a lot faster. I still don't know if I've quite succeeded with setting up a scene, but yeah, this is another example of a page that I kind of want to redraw just for the heck of it, for like a challenge or whatever, but I'm not sure how I would redraw it because it was supposed to like show that they're all talking, but he's the focus character. And this is when I did the rim lighting instead of the line art, and I kind of like how this looks. But I'm still the pixels, honey. Yeah, this is when I was really having trouble, you know, not having trouble, just kind of falling out with the text because I wanted to like have like his voice peter off. So what I had to do is type out his dialogue, copy paste it onto a separate layer, and then use the transform tool to have it like shrink out. And I guess it worked, but it just doesn't have as much personality, I guess is what I'm going for, with using the text. But everything is clearer and easy to read, as we'll see later. When I switched to handwriting, I didn't quite think it through a little bit. But I really do like the, you know, the white lines on some of the speech bubbles. I might bring that back, actually. This is when I first started experimenting with just writing the dialogue if I just wanted big emotion, but then switch back to text. But I really liked writing it because then I could have full control over what their words looked like and how it conveyed their emotions a bit more, as if their faces didn't do that enough. Oh, another full illustration shot. This one didn't take me as long because I was doing cleaner line art. Anyway, I just started using the airbrush to texture my backgrounds, and I still only use the airbrush and pencil and blur, but mostly airbrush. This was a pretty fun page. I was returning to adding a bit of, I don't know, flair to the borders. These pages were fun. It was really hard to, again, working on composition because we had 8 characters on screen, sometimes showing up multiple times in different panels, and was just trying to keep track of where to put everybody and how to, like, keep in mind where everyone is in correlation to each other, because this page looks cute, but then in this page you see, oh, they were right there the whole time and she was coming towards them, but it's like not quite shown that way. So it's something that I was struggling with and I'm still working on. Oh, I did a thicker border around the speech bubbles to show that they had elevated voices. I guess I did that. If you can't tell, this was supposed to indicate that he was smelling or, you know, scenting the paw prints. I guess it made it look like a spidey sense. I don't know why I did that. I could have just drawn sniff sniff, or like had his nose twitch or something. I don't know why I did it that way, but now this, another full page illustration. Still using the, I think I went back into using the texture because it was just the full page. And I don't remember when I started doing 2 pages a week, because I started off doing a page every day, and then I switched down to 1 page a week. And then later I switched to 2 pages a week, every Tuesday and Thursday. Still going to this day. See, I don't remember. I think this was a 1 page a week era. And I'll put it on screen when the pages were. Yeah, so for it was like, this is the 1 page you're getting this week. So I would over render and I would overthink texture, but for some reason not add line art to help, correlate the texture. But, still learning, still growing. Now this page I'm really proud of, and I think I should, and I'm rendering, aside from the rendering, which made it look overcast for some reason, I really like the, action panels, but have him overlay the 2 panels, like how they do in comics. And again, using handwriting rather than text, right? Big emotions, or, yelling, or big emotions. And as you can see for these next few pages, I kind of struggle with a bit of action movements, because he's supposed to be like jumping off the back of this coyote. They're coyotes, by the way. They never call them that in the comics so far. At least not yet. They call them dogs or wolves because they don't know what the heck a coyote is. So I think I translated this well, where they're running away, climbing down a rock cliff, and then they run into a wall. I think I translated that well. And this page in particular is when I was just, God, I hate using text. Because can you tell me what these text bubbles say way out here? No, we gotta zoom all the way in, because for some reason I didn't think to make them bigger. Because they weren't like it was like background noise and whatnot. So like, it was like, oh, I drew this and I felt good with it, but then I had to switch back to text. Yeah, it was really fighting with the text, but I didn't want to, or either didn't think I could just handwrite all the dialogue. Also, I'm realizing in these older pages, the comic was more like a cartoon. Or at least I was kind of treating it more like a cartoon, with all the vibrant colors and the silly action movements, like he's swinging his arms around here. And it just like tosses him. It's just whomp. I wrote whomp a lot in these pages. I don't know why I transitioned away from cartoon. And herein lies the issue with using, handwriting text without actually thinking about making it legible. Because I have terrible handwriting. And I do sincerely apologize to anyone who was reading the comic in these days, trying to read, that's an E, that's a V and an E, if you couldn't tell. And then for this, from here on out, from page 32 onward, I started handwriting. And I was more worried about spelling than actual legibility for whatever reason, because I was like, yeah, I can read that. But then I remembered one of the biggest complaints my teachers had with me in all of school, even in high school, they're like, I can't read your handwriting. You gotta slow down. So, oh, I'm sorry. You expect me to write slow and legible on a time test? Excuse me? Mostly talking about the borders and texting and whatnot, because the drawing with the actual cats is, if you can't already tell, they don't look consistent from page to page. Like, if you look at Snowblaze's nose here, and then look at her muzzle here, completely different cats, not even sisters. What the hell was I thinking? If there's one thing I'm not known for, it's consistency. The fun thing about comics is that while it still is limiting, you can do whatever you want. So here I was also like, you know what? I don't want to draw a full flashback of Darktail and the other rogues taking over ShadowClan, but I did want it to be a little bit more for lack of a better term, artistic when it came to the representation of what was happening, because this series is kind of written for people who know the books and were just as pissed off about this series as I was. So, like, if you don't know any of the books, some of these references are gonna go way over your head. But I didn't want to, like, oh, I have to stop and explain everything for people who might not know. It's like, no, because they live in this world. Why would I explain what is common knowledge for their world? Like, as you know, cell phones operate, you know, are an electronic device. Like, that's just so weird. But this is one bit where I did kind of have to spoon feed some exposition to show this is why they left, and this is exactly when the comic takes place. And I think in the description on the cover page I wrote when exactly the comic takes place, but I'm not sure if anyone actually read that description. I'm noticing also I forgot how vibrant and candy colored all my backgrounds are. And the characters haven't changed much colors. I mean, Hazelpaw changed a bit of color. He's a bit more red-brown now than whatever this color is. If you notice, none of these words are, like, drawn on a straight... They're not drawn straight, because I don't write. If I don't have lines on a page, I don't write straight. I don't. I guess it's because I'm left-handed, and I always tilt the paper, and I also always tilt my head, and I tilt my body. There's a lot of tilting when I write. Excuse me. There's a lot of tilting when I write, and I don't know why, and I'm not sure if I can stop it. But, like, on a tablet, everything is a little easier because I don't tilt the tablet to write. I force my hand to keep straight, but now I have, like, a line that I move for each line of dialogue to keep things in order, which I think I started doing in this page because Hazelpaw's dialogue here is oddly even. Ah, yes, the jealous girlfriend meme that I threw in for no reason at all than just to make myself get... No, actually, speaking of composition, this shot here, this page was supposed to be completely different. Where it's like, these two panels are supposed to be the same, and this whole Our Destinies Await was supposed to be like a reprise of the cover of all of them walking in a line up the hill with Hawk Fang saying, Our Destinies Await. And it was supposed to be like this pivotal moment in the comics, but I couldn't figure out how to get everyone to fit because I liked how these panels looked as they were, and then I couldn't fit everyone in just this space and with the dialogue without it looking like it overlapped over here. So I just put Hawk Fang walking, saying Our Destinies Await with the sun shining on her face. I just threw in the towel on that one because I was literally hurting myself trying to figure it out. And oh god, it hurts my eyes to look at this page. It is so razor green. My obligatory Watership Down reference. And another page, another full illustrated page that I would love to redraw because the map and layout of the area has changed. However, you know, I was learning, this is all just an experience, whatever. I'm actually, to be positive for a second, I'm really proud of how this version of the forest turned out. Where you can, like, see the trees moving in the back, but it's still, you know, green and lush and secluded and whatnot, but not looking too distracting from the characters, at least I think so. And again, fitting 8 characters on a page in multiple panels is really challenging for me, because, like, where is Lion Stripe? Where's the rest of his body behind? Sure, you could argue that his hips are pivoted that way, but where is he? Where is the rest of Lion Stripe? And I don't remember when this page was published, but this is when I went on my first hiatus. I don't remember for how long, at least like a month or so. Because I think this is when I just needed a break from comics because I was burning out a little bit. I think I just also needed time to catch up on the script, because the script wasn't fully done. Still isn't. But then after a probably 2-month hiatus, we came back, still using the candy-colored backgrounds for whatever reason. Now this page is when I started using, like, having a colored base for, like, the actual background of my comics is like this green, and I just draw on top of it, so then when I color the backgrounds, there's like a green base to start with, so not everything was so saturated and cartoonish. But I still went, comic route, having emotion panels that are just colors with a gradient, maybe some texture in there. But, in this way, I was having less of a hard time fitting so much dialogue on one page. Like, I could fit, like, at least a paragraph. Sure, this is like one sentence, but this is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sentences. That's a paragraph. Came to backgrounds for these few shots. I was a little disappointed with how suddenly desaturated everything looked, except for the characters and, their eyes, because I always want their eyes to be their focus. So I think, in this shot, oh god. In this shot, I went with more, slightly more saturated colors, but not as saturated as they were before. And also, I forgot to turn the background line art layer back on, so they were just solid shapes, and they were the only ones with line art. Don't know if I liked that or not, and it's probably not gonna make a comeback, because whatever. Another example of trying to draw characters consistently and failing is you look at how they're all drawn here, with how their face shapes are. And then in this next page, they look nothing like how they did previously, but they look more like on model with how they usually look. I'm still very proud of how this page looks, because poor little Short Tail is just losing his mind, yelling at everybody. It's pretty funny. Yeah, it is. I'm dubbing this era, this and onward, basically, are, as what I would like to call the Sunbeam era of my comics, because if you've noticed, in these past few pages, there's a sunbeam in every freaking panel, and it just doesn't go away until, like, my next hiatus, which isn't for, like, another few pages. And it still continues. Okay, and this page was my next hiatus. I know, and I came back from hiatus to bring this little shot with them just looking around. I probably shouldn't have ended it there. Probably should have ended it here, because to show it's night. And then the next day, and oh god, the sunbeams everywhere! Oh god! This is when Sunbeam era was in full swing. Full swing. Every shot a sunbeam. Now, in morning, I excuse it because, the sun's coming up, it's shining through. I'm actually really proud of how this shot looks, and maybe this shot a little bit, but the others, it was so much. It was so much. And this shot, I'm gonna get on the down low with you guys. This page still infuriates me to this day because none of the characters look right, in my opinion. They all look off model, and it was just a bit of a challenge for me to try and draw them all sitting together, talking, but, also have what they're talking about in the background. I've done it on a more recent page, and I think I did it a little bit more successfully. But this was my first attempt at it, and I hated it, and I didn't want to come back to it. But I did anyway. There's sunbeams everywhere. I was like the J.J. Abrams of comics. Look at all these flares and particles and the dust and the... Ugh. No, I think it's fine if it's just like 2 and 2, but then I decided to do whatever this is for glass panes and whatnot. Now, this page was fun because then I know I did it in earlier pages, but I wanted to talk about how I added purple to outline, that's, there's an underlined purple here, but then it's a zoom out shot where he's smaller. I think I should have centered him in the shot, like in this panel, but I didn't because he was like offset by his creeping dread. The purple is supposed to be dread, while the orange is worry, because they're two different emotions. I did it in a later page, but this page was fun because I was doing a flashback. And I wasn't sure how I wanted the borders to look in the flashback, so people, to visually tell people, hey, look, flashback. So I think, what I did here is I drew the line, but then I had like a fuzzier line outline it with some blue showing whose flashback it was. So blue being his eye color, so it was his flashback. And it was supposed to be like wispy, so where it's there, but it's like fuzzy. So really, his dad doesn't actually look like this because this is his father, but this is just how he remembers him. And I think I wrote it in the description of this page, but this is supposed to be Mistyfoot and Leopard Star. And I didn't know if I translated that well, because then in a later page, I just had the book characters, when they were on screen, I just had their names pop up because I didn't know if their designs translated, and I wanted, for that scene, I wanted everyone to know who each character was, and I'll show it in a second. And another fully illustrated shot, which this is when I went back to using the double layer of rendering, but that's because I wanted to have deep shadows to show how scared and small he was, but also having the overlay of his, his abusive father. Now, for some reason, for this page, we had thick borders, and for some reason on this page I had very thin borders, and I think I just did that for the sketch, and it was like, oh, I'll just add it later, and then I did it. Oh, and this is a little gag that I threw in for no reason in particular. It was page 69. So I decided that someone on the page or in the last panel should say nice, but I couldn't make it work for the dialogue, so I just had they're doing nicely, and it's just because it was page 69. Haha, silly joke. Now, for this shot, I had the orange, which I had said earlier was worry, but for some reason I had the orange here, but this is more of a red orange, so it's more angry. I just, the tone was anger. His mood is just switching, because he wants to be happy here. And I'm going to explain a little bit of his character. He wants to be, happy and supportive, but it's just his attitude and his upbringing, the way he's convinced of himself he needs to act, won't let him. See, he is concerned for Splashpaw here, but then here, he won't let himself feel it. And then he hides his worry behind duty and honor and keeping his promises. And I don't know if anyone caught it, or because no one's mentioned it, but for the dialogue here, when he's re-says what his father said to him, I have both of their eye colors in the dialogue. See, this is Short Tail's eye color, and this is his father's eye color, who is, he goes unnamed. Don't ask what their father's name is, he goes unnamed. And then, montage, where it was just straight panels. I will say, I am obscenely proud of how this panel turned out, with the sunset and the water. I think I spent the longest on this page out of all of them, because I'm still struggling with how to draw just rivers and water in motion. But I think, drawing the dripping off them and flicking off his tail while it's moving around them and whatnot, I know it's not perfect, and I think I still used the pencil tool for that. But I'm still proud of it. This is the era of sunbeams and moonbeams, because the moonbeam is shining through the log, which they had dubbed the apprentice den. Now, I know it's a little shot here. Like, it's one panel, but it's just, in these two panels alone, I spent not hours, but it felt like hours on just rendering the grass and the texture and the lighting. Don't ask me why, I'm extra, so I just did it that way. And then boom, action shots with them running, get the zoomies, and it's just just blurs of color with them running, just like a Looney Tunes character. And the sunbeams everywhere. Sunbeam era. I think the reason why the line art here is so sketchy is, honestly, I might have forgotten to turn off that layer and then just didn't fix it. But also, I was like trying to make it blurry, like they were moving, but still, you know, you're able to see them. So I was trying to figure out how to draw that. Like it's like he outflanks him. See, what he does is he outflanks him, then jumps and tackles him. They roll, and when Hazelpaw kicks him off, he's laughing, and then, oh shit, because he fell in a hole. Technically a full-page illustration. I was heavily referencing a snapshot of like how cats twist and fall. So that's why he actually looks surprisingly good and mostly consistent in every like on this page, is because I was heavily following a cat reference for just like the main base pose and twist. This page was all just to set up this page here, which another full page illustration. I spent a ridiculous amount of time coloring and rendering these crystals, which I did not need to spend that much time on it. They're a little overshaded in my opinion currently, but I wanted the moon cluster to look special and to look different from all the other connections. Like, it's not the moonstone and it's not the moon pool, but it is kind of like a combination of the two, because it's like a geode of giant crystals that's surrounded by water, and the light is supposed to cast the silhouettes of cats on the wall and like catches all the colors and shows it everywhere. I don't know if the moonstone in the books was supposed to be like quartz or whatnot, because if it is quartz, then it would reflect all these colors despite being white. So I know it's obvious that it's a voiceover, but for the way I had the dialogue and the border not being solid black to show that it is a voiceover, I decided to like bring back the white outlines, but to show where the dialogue went. Like, this dialogue goes to this panel. It's not the top of this panel. Also, if you have a dialogue and you're not sure what to put because you're sick of just drawing talking heads, just put like sunlight and trees. When in doubt, trees. And I don't know what happened here, but obviously I was rushing because the dialogue is very, shall we say, messy. So what I think happened is I rendered all the other pages and then forgot I hadn't finished this page, and it was like supposed to go up that day. So I just wrote in all, I just threw it together and then posted it. Now, for the Sunbeam era, this is the only offender that we will excuse, because it's supposed to represent fire for the vision. Now, I will admit, I am no expert when it comes to drawing fire. Like, I showed this page to a friend of mine on Discord, and they said, this fire looks fine. This looks like fire, but this fire looks like grass or wheat. And I'm just, yeah, it's in the same shot, so I don't know why I didn't like go back and fix this fire. But if you look, I didn't know if I wanted these dialogue to be able to be read, because it's not supposed, they're supposed to be like echoey, but like no one's actually talking, if you know what I mean. And I won't say anything, but I will say the level of foreshadowing in this shot alone is through the roof. And that's all I will say on that map. Now this, okay, yeah, Sunbeam era. This page, and I think I wrote it in the description, this is a reference to a headcanon I read somewhere a long time ago, where they had a headcanon that when the medicine cats receive prophecy, that they're actually having a seizure. So when they like have the visions, they like shake and kind of fall over like you would a seizure. For like this line here. Willowshine advised caution, but Mothwing assured that a splash in the lake would do him good. Because that is a reference to if people suffer from seizures, it's recommended that they like splash in cold water in the morning. Like either you get like the ice bucket, you know, that's what the ice bucket challenge was. Or what some lady would do in a documentary I saw. She would, you know, like go for a run and then like take a dip in the ocean, and that was enough to like shock her system so that if she did that every day, she wouldn't have seizures as often. So this line was a reference to that bit of lore. It's not explicitly canon that every medicine cat in this world has a seizure, and I'm not making it explicitly canon, but for the case of Splashpaw, that is the case. He does have seizures. Sunbeams! Ugh, Sunbeam era. We're gonna be moving into Moonbeam era soon, just you wait. Isn't it? It's so weird that I can remember exactly what I was listening to when working on these shots, particularly this panel. I was listening to a creepypasta, and I don't remember what it was called, but I do remember it was about a little girl that would have to be babysat by this old lady that was a neighbor, and she was really weird, and she had these little mice figurines on her counters, and they all had names, and she called them her children, and it was really like weird because I was like, where is this leading up to? And it's like the little girl in her own room heard like scratching and whatnot. She thought there was like a mouse in her room, or that it was some sort of monster or whatever. I don't remember, but it turns out the old lady was like a cryptid or whatever, and she would turn young children into little mice figurines so she could maintain her youth, because the little girl went missing, and she's like, I think I'll call you Mary or something like that. And it was like, oh shit. But yeah, that's just ingrained into my brain whenever I look at this page, because that was what I was listening to when I was either coloring or rendering this page. Anyway, this is all I think about when I look at this page, and how freaking hard it was to figure out how to draw this frame here. I don't know why I was struggling with this shot, because I needed this dialogue to happen on this page so I could have room for the other stuff, because I was coming up on page 90 and I wanted page 100 to be the name, like the end of the naming ceremony, which I'll get to. Now this shot, I didn't know what I wanted to do for like how to show that these are her thoughts, but then she just says surprised. Says, I'm just surprised our ancestors chose, which I think I could have moved this dialogue up a little bit, because if you're just reading straight through, you kind of miss it, because you like look at this and then but I trust Splashpaw. It's like, what? Wait a minute. Oh, there's dialogue here. And again, when in doubt, when you don't know what to draw for dialogue, trees, sun and trees, and I thought, if I draw this, the next page, transition, starlight and trees. Moonbeams out the wazoo. For these next few pages, Lord, forgive me. I'm not sure if I succeeded for this page, but this is not only supposed to be not only a monologue, but it's also her inner thoughts. So I think I could have numbered the dialogue, but I felt like that would have taken away from what was happening. So the dialogue goes as follows. I'll actually do a reading. I never saw myself as a chosen one, or even wanted a grand destiny. I served my clan. That was my higher calling. But now, being faced with the possibility of becoming something greater, I'm not sure I'm worthy of it. And now we move into StarClan, which then I changed the border to a light blue and white, and the lighting was this tealish, that's not teal, or this turquoise color. And here we go, the StarClan cats that show up, that I didn't know if my design of them was obvious enough, so I just added their names. And I also ran a poll on my DeviantArt, say, hey, should I just say who they are in the description, or should I write them on the page? you know, my DeviantArt crew, and when I asked my sister, she agreed, yeah, just write their names on the page, it's so much easier. And oh my god, these next 2 pages, drawing the cats barely took any time whatsoever, because it's basically just talking heads. But the text took so long to do. My hand still hurts just thinking about writing this much dialogue. And also, I was having trouble with, their eye colors maybe not standing out enough from their speech bubbles, because I wanted to give them like a different color speech bubble to show that this is a StarClan cat talking. Oh, one funny thing about Hollyflower, who is Black Star's mother, it's disputed whether or not she had blue or green eyes, because she's listed as having both in the books, because the Aarons don't reference their own material when it comes to writing characters. So what, it's like, well, if we can't decide if it's blue or green, I need to draw her, so I just gave her blue-green eyes. I didn't want to draw the heterochromia route, because it's not mentioned of her having heterochromia, so I just gave her blue-green eyes and just said, there, she's got both. And I really like the color. Alright, also, something a little naughty that I did. This is Flame. He is talking about forgiveness and letting go of anger, while his background is colored to look like water. Because if you don't know, Flametail died by drowning, and he, in the afterlife, was still bitter at Jayfeather for letting him drown, and then the blah-de-blah, haha, I made a funny. And also with, Feathertail, her background had spikes, and then I think this was unintentional. It was also supposed to look mystical and had, like, a water motif, but it ended up looking like stalactites and stalagmites and whatever, which one comes from the ceiling. So that was accidental, but I'm just gonna say it wasn't. What I wanted to visually separate the Tribe of Rushing Water and StarClan cats, because StarClan cats are described as having stars in their pelt, yet for the Tribe of Rushing Water, I don't remember if they were described as looking different in the afterlife, so I decided to give them this kind of misty cloudiness to their back to look like, the mist from the waterfall. But for Feathertail, I gave her a bit of both, because she travels between both StarClan and the Tribe of Rushing Waters. And here we go. Page 100, which I tried to make it fit differently so that it was, the next page was actually page 100, but this is just how it happened. So page 100 is actually one of the heavier pages that I didn't realize would have more of an implication with when it comes to soon-to-be Hawk Star being, the founder. She would live on as her clan. Everyone else she knows would fade eventually, but she won't, being the founder of Fang Clan. And I was putting stars around her to show that it's swirling, and it's just her and Shadow Star, who's got more stars on her head to show, her status. But also, when it was like drawn, it's like putting the sparkle tool everywhere, and ended up putting 9 stars on her head. So I went, you know what? I'm just gonna roll with that. She's got her 9 lives now, and I'm not drawing the star anywhere on her body. This is the only instance of that, so I just blah. So yeah, I wanted this to be page 100. Actually, I wanted this shot to be a full illustration of her walking up the hill with the moon behind her and bright stars and saying Hawk Star. But it didn't work out that way, and I'm fine with this being page 100 and this 102, 101. I'm fine with it because it makes more sense, cohesively rather than just aesthetically. So, I'll accept. The Moonbeam era. I realized my moonbeams and sunbeams were getting out of hand because one of the commenters, it was a very nice comment, it was either on this page or the next page, said that they really liked how the fog added ambience and mystery to the scene. I was like, that's not fog, honey. That's supposed to be light coming through. And that's when I realized I need to calm down with these moonbeams. This is when I went on hiatus for July, I think. I went on hiatus. I took July off. With these next few pages, this is when I decided, you know what, I'm actually gonna take most of what I've learned into consideration and apply it. So, here's me applying most everything I've learned while working on comics. So I've cut down the sunbeams. There's still a little here to show that, it's morning. I've actually looked at references of what morning clouds look like. There's a lot more color than just yellow. There's a lot of pinks and blues in there. But then here I kind of slipped back into the over-rendering with the lighting, but I didn't use a sunbeam. So I'll give myself a pass for that. Remember the last time, when I was talking about the overlay with the backgrounds and worrying about how it would work? Well, I retried it again, applied it again, and this is the latest page I have posted as of recording this video on August 14th. By the time this video comes out, it'll probably be Tuesday or maybe this evening, who knows? The raw recording is actually like an hour and a half long. That was the trimmed down version. Oh my god, my voice is killing me. The real kick of it is that the story's only just begun. We're at page 100 and we're not even halfway through the first part. Yeah, there's more than one part. Imagine that. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this long-winded advertisement for my Warriors fan comic, The Path to Brighter Stars, which is posted every Tuesday and Thursday on DeviantArt. Hey, go check it out. Links in the description. Please sure to like and subscribe and ring that bell and share with your friends. Comment for the algorithm, all that jazz. I'm gonna go lay down. Bye. Let's hope this works as a replacement to actually posting the video, because that was just brutal. Anyway, like Past Me just said, thank you so much for watching. I'm sorry this had to be a little janky. But yeah, I cannot get this video uploaded without blowing up my computer. So I'll hopefully figure out a replacement or just focus on doing live streams from now on, or maybe I'll finally learn my lesson and not make a video longer than 20 minutes. Maybe that will be a thing. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. And I will see you maybe later today, but probably not. It's done to be like 106 where I'm at right now, so it's already getting hot in here, and it's not even morning, so see you later. Bye.